Hey everyone, how's it going? Figured now was as good a time as ever to finally introduce you to my latest and greatest expensive hobby, film photography. Yep, espresso and pour over coffee and vinyl records were not enough. I needed something else that I could take on loads of debt for. All joking aside, I'm already in a massive amount of debt. I did want to share with you my first roll of film, which is a roll of Fujicolor 400, or maybe it's Fuji 400. I'm not sure which one. I shot this roll of film last year on a trip to St. Petersburg with my girlfriend to visit her family. Everything I shot on this trip was shot on a Ricoh AF-2. It's got a 38mm focal length lens. I think it shoots at like f2.8. It is real glass as far as I can tell. It's not like a plastic piece of junk or anything. I couldn't find very much information about this camera at all, other than like it was made by Ricoh, and that the glass was designed by Seiko. Actually, it's not amazing by any means, but it was free because it was gifted to my girlfriend, and therefore I stole it from her. One of my favorite features of this camera as compared to other point and shoot cameras is that it's not a diva. It takes fucking AA batteries. Why is it so hard to find cameras that take AA batteries? This thing was built in like the 1970s or 80s. And everything that came after it uses these crazy expensive batteries. So I love that this thing takes regular AA batteries. The best feature about this camera, hands down. Okay, now that I'm done just completely yapping about a camera that is so insignificant that nobody on the internet talks about it, let's go ahead and dive into my first roll of film. This is Grace getting a sick tattoo. They did a great job. This photo, on the other hand, is not like my best work ever. It really exemplifies a lot of this roll that are what I would consider like memory photos. So I kind of set photography and memory photography into two separate categories, whereas photography is something that you're a little bit more intentional about, and then you have memory photography where it's just like, I want to take a photo of this moment because it was a fun time and I want to look back on it fondly. And that's what a lot of these are, but there are a couple photos throughout here that are a little bit less so. And also with this photo, you'll notice one of these like recurring themes that this roll has are these really like bizarre light leaks that this camera has, and it's probably one of the reasons why I will never really like pick it up again and actively shoot with it. And I'll try to point out some of the crazier ones as we go throughout this roll. Another memory shot on this one, and another glaring example of these weird ass light leaks. This is the first photo of the roll that I like, but I do wish I had composed it a little better because I chopped the front end of this truck off and it's really begging to be put back in the image. This photo had potential to be a really cool lifestyle photo, but either the focus is off or it's just because the lens isn't very sharp. But I really like the way all of the different color pops out in here. Like this dude's sick looking socks. Not a damn clue what's on them though. These next three photos are a good example of this camera not being able to shoot very close up. And also flash not looking good this close up either. Bad selfie. I look like I had a humiliating fight with a bear. Grace looks good though. Okay, I actually don't completely hate this one. It's a decent memory photo, but it does show some of the weird ass light leaks this camera gave me throughout this roll. I mean, seriously, look at it. Who set the fires of hell upon this poor woman? These next two photos are interesting. I actually don't like the flash look in this one. It's just kind of overbearing on a lot of like the white surfaces in this image. It just kind of overwhelms the photo. This one is actually kind of shocking to me because it metered for flash and I covered the flash when I was shooting it, but it actually turned out decently well. And I think this proves that Fuji is actually a very versatile film stock. And I know 400 is like recommended for mixed lighting scenarios, but it was relatively dark in there, not as low light as some of the other coffee shops that we went to, but it was darker than I would have preferred for shooting photos. And it still resolved, I would say, decently. It's not anything incredible, but it resolved pretty well. Yeah, nothing else to say, just pleasantly surprised by this one. This is probably the first one that I really loved. It could compositionally be a little bit better, but I like the straight lines that these palm trees and light post have created throughout this image. It all kind of points towards this cyclist who unfortunately gets a little bit lost in the shadows. It also has more of these shitty ass light leaks. This one frustrates me, man. It's almost good. I wish I could have composed it to show off the really weird colored fire hydrant more. It's just hindsight. Looking back, there are so many ways that I could compose this so much more interesting to have a more clear subject, whereas this is just kind of environmental and there's nothing really like guiding your eyes towards a specific point in this image. And I think it kind of suffers because of that. Just a couple more memory photos, nothing super interesting. I go back and forth on this photo all of the time. On one hand, I think it's kind of ass, and on the other, I kind of like it at the same time. I think it would work a lot better if it was a couple steps back to show more of the building they were underneath. I don't know, I like the way this blue resolves quite a bit, and I like the framing of the bikes along the third. Oh, just in time. More close-ups that this camera can't handle. Whoa, man, check out those crazy fucking light leaks again. Okay, this next one is probably my favorite photo of the roll. I really just love the way that the reds pop on this shot. Composition is pretty decent. I like the way the building in the foreground and the background kind of lead your eyes toward the subject a little bit. And then the fences kind of add a bit more texture and interest to the foreground to keep things interesting. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one overall. If I could go back and do it again, which I will have the opportunity to do this year, I think I would probably take a couple steps back further just to include more of the front edge of the building, just to give it a little bit more framing and interest. But overall, I'm really happy with this image and I like it a lot. This is another favorite from the roll. I really love the intersection of these two buildings on the left side of the image and the way the edge of the taller building kind of blends into the tree and that sort of leads your eyes to the subjects down here in the middle. Weirdly enough, I like the separation between the two subjects in this image. It kind of adds to this very like empty, hollow, and like emotionally distant vibe that this image gives me. So I really like this one. I think it would look better, you know, obviously on a camera that has a sharper lens. I think it would have looked a lot better, but overall, I really like this one. Definitely a top tier image in this roll. Overall, this is definitely not my best photo work ever. A little bit of background, I am a former wedding professional. I shot wedding photography for 5 years before getting out of the game in 2024. So I have a little bit of experience working with portraiture quite a bit and a little bit of like environment and detail photography, but film photography has kind of forced me to think about things completely differently. Just the kind of stuff that I've been shooting, it's just very, very different than weddings. So I really was just trying to get my bearings with this roll and kind of figure things out. That being said, even if I didn't love all of this roll, I did get 3 photos at least that I love and that I think are portfolio worthy. I did shoot another roll of Fuji 400 while we were on the trip. There are a couple cool photos that I took at a place called Sunken Gardens in St. Petersburg, so I'll show those on screen now. A lot of beautiful greenery here, and also this photo right here is absolutely my favorite photo that I took there. I love the like framing of the greenery around this bench. It really just kind of draws your eyes in. I do think it would be really cool if there was someone sitting there, but there just wasn't when I was there, and I felt like I needed to take the photo. But I really, really like this one, and I think this kind of shows that you really do need some time to warm up as a photographer. Your first couple photos of the day are just usually not very good. It was the same way when I would shoot digital for weddings. So, but overall, I learned a lot shooting this roll, and even now, as I dive further into film photography, I continue to learn so much. So that about does it for today. In the future, I'm probably going to be diving further into film photography as I kind of develop and hone my view going forward. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.